everyone. How are you doing? How is life? I just thought I'd come in with a, you know, easy voice, just nice and calm. In fact, here we go.
Relax, calm down now. Don't stress. Take it easy.
Okay, I think that's good advice for everybody. So, how are you, good folks? So good to see you. I hope you had a great weekend. Hope as well that you may have had an opportunity to see the Not Your Normal Sunday Morning Show. Absolutely, probably go down as one of the best. I mean, never to say the best, but doing that program with Jeff Doherty for nearly uh, a year and a half now. Uh, that one was a good one. So, hello, Lois. How are you doing, Warrior Queen? Karen, good to see you, my dear. Been wondering about you and how you were doing. Mary, good to see you. Maria and Blaze, by the way, that's some kick-ass music, Blaze. Keep it going, brother. Got to get you on here. Hi, Rebecca. How are you doing? Terry, Allison, I like that. How are you doing? Dark Truth, cool. Rachel, how are you doing, my dear? Soul Gibbon, how are you doing? Bartel, good to see you. Jamie, hello. Lost in Space, how are you doing? Yeah, it was a good show, I have to say. Think agape love always and forever. Peace, absolutely. Namaste to you, my dear. Claudia, hello. Enjoyed your emails, my dear. I am Monica. How are you doing? Robin, good to see you. Claire, Chris, and Anne. Ajabois, good to see you. Jerry, saw you last night there with Milky Way and company. Um, boy, trying to reach this, got to get that speed reading course again. So, welcome, everyone. I hope that you are truly doing good and the journey continues. Consciously aware. How are you doing, Stephen? Good to see you, my dear. Well, let's see. What's that? I'm sorry. It's never a good thing to text and drive. Never. So, lots going on. We every day that we still have the opportunity to live in this temporal realm. If this is the conscious realm, I don't think it is. I think it's just a realm of many, but we seem to be in one that is complex. It seems to be, well, confusing. Seems like someone has gone to extraordinary lengths to alter, capitalize, and control the message, the story, and what would appear to be almost history. But here's the problem. A deceiver is never that good. They always miss something. I had a friend years ago who was a homicide detective, and he was just a cool guy. I mean, he dealt in a profession that saw the worst of who we are. But yet, he was one of the guys who I guess he found that inner balance. And what he told me was many times you can learn so much about a person. He said, the one thing about all of us is that we're capable of such beauty, but such horrors. And it's the complexity that we live in. And if this realm is a realm of survival, then that just sucks. I mean, because that sets the path that it's not about gaining ascension. It's not about acquiring knowledge that becomes wisdom. No, it's about your ability to survive, to put food in your stomach. And, these bodies don't regulate well. They have to have a certain mean temperature. And we have to continually wash these bodies. I mean, you could look at all of this and begin to say, well, this is really a screwed up reality. And all philosophers, all theologians, all thinkers, all free thinkers, let me just reference that, all intellectuals, all spiritualists. It's what we all are. All of us are the above. We ponder because the mysteries of what we're immersed into is sometimes almost beyond our capacity to fully materialize what reality really is. So we live in a reality that where for the greater part of the 21st century, we're dominated by a mindset. That's religion. I think currently there's over 300, probably more religions than that. Christianity alone, or Christendom, is well over 30,000 worldwide, different schisms. So here we are, a time where we question everything. You know, I got here simply by reading the book, studied that book for 40 years, bought more commentaries. I mean, it's just, Jeff Doherty, he preached it. But it indoctrinates you. It paints you into a reality that no matter how you look at the reality, it's always going to come through a filtered lens. And so what you see is what exactly is any spell is designed. Spells are not so much designed to change people as they are to deceive people, make them think they're seeing something they're not. Every great magician, David Copperfield, Isaac Angel, there's a number of them that I've seen in my time. That's what it is. They're a great illusionist. And where did they learn that from? Well, they learned that from the occult. We all should learn the occult. If you ever study the art of war, what you find out about your enemy, and we have, let's face it, folk, sapiens have an enemy. We appear to have a number of enemies, much more greater than ourselves, and in some cases, much lesser than ourselves. But that is what happens to us. We see things from a certain perspective. It seems to be within us that we are forced to believe in a deity of some kind. It's where the great division comes from. It's what the great debate comes from. And quite frankly, most of all of us, all of mankind, if you look at us from a collective, we're still not much further ahead. Our history has been purposely altered. Why? Who was behind that? You see, that gives credence to something much greater than ourselves. I mean, if someone had the intelligence, the malevolence to concoct a story that so kept our species chasing our tails around and around and around until we get to the point we no longer know where we are. So, Miss Buttons, this is to you, my dear. Thank you. Who is Miss Buttons? Well, that was my 5th grade teacher. I was an exceptional student, and when we graduated 5th grade, Miss Buttons invited me to come back the next day to help put up the books and clean the erasers, etc. And which was really a great treat. I really enjoyed Miss Buttons. She was a elderly woman, white hair, always wore her hair in a bun in the back. When we were learning how to go from print to cursive, isn't that interesting? Yeah, I remember my knuckles getting whacked a few times, but you know what? I learned some penmanship. But Miss Buttons was a wise, wise woman, a widower, um, a widow, yes. And she dedicated her life to teaching children. Now, Miss Buttons was what I call a true teacher. She taught common sense more than she taught, you know, the basics of math, reading, and writing. And to have a woman that will invest that into a child. Now, my childhood was anything but normal. It was horrible. And she knew this. But the day that I remember sitting on the ledge in the classroom, it was June and hot, hot down in the Texas Gulf Plains. Lived in a town called Genoa. And she looked at me and she says, Wayne, remember it as though I'm living it right now. I can see it. You know, she looked at me with she had the most crystalline blue eyes I've ever seen of a person. And she said, you're a smart, smart soul. But she said, I want to tell you something. And she says, if you'll keep this, she said, this will help you all your life. And what she said to me was, an ounce of common sense will outdo a pound of book learning any day. What we lack today is that common sense. Because if we had common sense, we wouldn't be in this vicious cycle of debates. I mean, if you just take the concept and the construct that God is male, is the most asinine way to perceive an entity, male. Now, I continued yesterday on not our normal Sunday morning show that it seems homosexuality runs rampant with the Elohims. And it seems that there is with certain of them, a certain hatred for the feminine. Very obvious. You know, doesn't take a rocket scientist to watch a person and observe a person. My detective friend said people give clues away all the time. Anyway, so male. And yet, and I was one, never question, where's mom? I mean, a father without a mother is unbalanced. However, say what we will, this is what we've done. All the major religions don't have mama. Exited her out of there. So today, let's get right into this because I worked really hard on this one, folks. I really did. We got some great material to cover here. So let's get right into Meet Mrs. God, the Asherah. And I say the Asherah, if it may be the other way around, it may be Lilith and the Asherah. You know, we have been so manipulated. All of you are finding out. I was telling Jeff by text that yesterday's show, I got more emails than I have ever seen, well over 100. And you're waking up to the same thing I am. You go and you look at this and you go, well, wait a minute. All this information is so damn skewed. I mean, you want to talk about a character assassination. That right there should give all of us the first clue that something's wrong. So here is the thing. The problem with Christianity, they perverted the story. Remember, they robbed the Jews of their heritage. That's what the Christians did. They didn't have a God, so they had to steal one. And when you steal a God, well, you know, it comes with baggage. And, well, we don't like that baggage, so we rewrite the story. So Yahweh, the Elohim, named Jehovah Yahweh, is married, or was, still is apparently. Now we can go two roads down this. We're going to take the high road that this was a split, and a nasty one at that. The extreme could say we may be looking at a crime. We know what this deity is capable of. He admits it. It's no secret. I love this one. Because the Jews are going, oh, crap. Here she comes. She's coming to get her history. We tried to hide it, but we weren't good enough. Here is the story, ladies and gentlemen. Please take a good look at this. They tried to destroy this. And woe unto them. Because you see, this tells a story about Yahweh and his wife, Asherah. I contend probably Lilith. Yeah. Don't you just hate it when this happens? Always screwing up the stories. So Asherah and Yahweh, the inscriptions, they're everywhere. It would appear that in spite of Sitchin, who got, I think, he did more harm than he did good. It was right there. The story was always there. It's just like the old TV series Dragnet. The names of the innocent have been changed. That, you go, well, yeah. So I contend, and I just simply hypothesize, I put it out there, that Lilith may very well be Mother Creator. She very well may be more powerful than Yahweh or any of the Elohim, even anyone on the council. I think they fear whatever her name may truly be. I don't know if it's Lilith. Don't know if it's Asherah. We're going to find out there are many names. But what we do know, that the story is as plain as the hand you can look at. Put your hand right up there. Yep, that's what you can do. So the biggest problem we have with archaeology, and listen, they do their best that they can. I mean, listen, they're discovering things, is that sometimes the story isn't quite what we were told. And many times, as in archaeology, even anthropology, there is something that, even geology, that you have to go back and rewrite. That's what we're doing in the 21st century. We're having to go back and rewrite the errors of those who tried to manipulate the story. Have you heard this? That if the Ark of the Covenant, in fact, did exist, and I don't know if it did, and I don't know if it did. Loved Indiana Jones. But in certain Kabbalah teachings, it's Lilith or Asherah who is in the Ark of the Covenant because she is the creator. Representation of what Yahweh did to her. Has he imprisoned her? What did he do to her? Is she just merely waiting for her time, for her children to begin to call upon her again? Remember, they feed off faith. So this is the Kalendit, and this is where we begin to get the inscriptions of the Pithos of the year. Here we have Amarunu said, "Say to my Lord, are you in peace? I bless you by Yahweh of Teman and by Asheroth. May he bless you and keep you and be with you, my Lord." Two together. To Yahweh of Teman and to Asheroth. All that he requires of a man to act with compassion, and Yah, not Yahweh, Yah will give him according to his heart. So we know that Yahweh and Asheroth are now connected. The blessing isn't singular. Both husband and wife give the blessing. It's how we begin to understand much of the interpretations of the tree of life. Now, here's Asherah in religious texts, dating all the way back to the Sumerian tablets. The great lady, the official consort of the head of the pantheon, El. The great goddess, the Holy One, mother of minor gods, the 70 sons of Asherah, mother, wet nurse of kings. It's replete in the pantheon. Why'd they hide it? Why are they going to such extreme lengths to demonize, to erase, to ignore, to belittle? No. And here we have, again, in the inscriptions, Yahweh and Asherah are connected. We see this even in the Cauticus, the double helix. There's always been an imbalance. The whole theme of some cat being crucified for something, it don't make sense. It's always been, well, as I have always contended, so which genus of homo sinned here? It never was. I think this has been so perverted that, I don't know, maybe the ones who knew the story, and remember, this story was during the Paleolithic and Iron Age, the Paleolithic period of, Homo sapiens. The Irons, the Bronze Age. Yahweh and Asherah. The serpents. Entwined. Why did Yahweh command Moses to make a staff, a rod, fashion out of gold, 2 serpents with wings on top, and all who were being bit by the serpents, ailments, could look at it, didn't have to touch it, just look at it, and would be healed? I contend it was sending out a radiation energy source. But the fact is, why did Yahweh, you got to ask yourself the questions. Remember, this Yahweh is a liar. I mean, he shows himself. He says as much. I didn't write it, he did. Go to Isaiah 45. Mother Goddess has to be absolutely beautiful. They tried to say that it was Eve, but I don't think. Eve may have been like her mother. Maybe. Probably. But let's get to this El, Yahweh, the different forms of his manifestation. Baal. I did a whole series on it. If you want to get the series of Baal, I mean, the first opening of it is almost approaching 250,000 views all over the world. That video has been watched by professors, theologians. Something ain't right, folks. But you want to know why? I'll just say it. Virtually every person who is in a worship of a religion, they take their book as fact. The Bible is not a history book. No. It's a storybook. That's all it is. It's a piece of literature. And the fact is, most Americans have no idea of ancient Middle East history other than what they read in their Bibles, which is, it sucks. I just tell you, in the accuracy. Now, Asherah was also a sex symbol. We see this replete through First and Second Kings, First, Second Samuel, Solomon. Solomon made, I think, over 1,000 Asheroths throughout all Judea. I often wonder, why did Solomon go back to worshiping the goddess? Because he did. Read the book. He left the Yahweh. Now, they say at the end he came back, but Yahweh was already gone. I think it's so pissed off Yahweh that he got in his kivav and got the hell out of Dodge. Here's the wisest man who's ever apparently been born, had more gold, if you believe the story. They say today, 1/3 of almost the known gold today was within Solomon's court. Silver had no value. They paved the streets with it. Why did he go back to the worship and to the building of the Asherah pole and put it in the temple? Wouldn't that have been a desecration, I ask? All right. Now, I got this, but the guy who did this work I thought was phenomenal. So here we go. The shocking discoveries continue to be made that Yahweh is a false god. Side note for Anonymous. So apparently he's been trolled. Even if you try to make Yahweh into Ehu, you still have a pagan god as an Asheroth wife. You see, you can't get away from it. How have they done this? Well, because most are ignorant. They never thought this thing. Oh, yeah. Well, I guess there should have been a mother, a queen. All you are doing is changing the pronunciation from Yahweh to Ehu, and it gets you nowhere. What you are doing is adding another layer of perversion on top of the Yahweh. One of the facts that cannot be refuted is that Yahweh is a God who has a consort, a wife. You can Google this and you're going to get the information. It's out there. They can't put enough disinformation to stop it. Everywhere, Mother Goddess, whether she be Lilith, Asheroth, Hathor, I don't know. But always look at the serpent. Always. This book, if you have about $300 plus, you can buy it. Is probably one of the best books out there. You will see how the evolution of sex was the primary point. Think about it today, folks. In religion, what is the one thing that's condemned of us most? Sex. You can't masturbate. You can't fornicate. You know, you have to be so-called consecrated, married. Monotheism and the patriarchal, monotheistic view of religion we see today, this is where it started. Truth, lies, deceptions, reality. Was Lilith trying to rescue her creation? Hard to say. The story has been so tampered with that, you know, it's a course in mental coyness to try even to decipher it anymore. I think we can probably say that, well, there was wisdom involved. There was apparently a divorce. I think Yahweh tried to kill Lilith. I think he tried to murder her. that she was more powerful than he was. It's just my take. But I know this. Everywhere is the Asherah, the consort of Yahweh. Why? Why haven't we heard in the 21st century? Why isn't it more propagated in cultural society to bring the balance back into this? Do you know how hard you have to dig to try to get to even some kind of what I would call a neutral bias? Virtually impossible. But yet, the figurines, the statues, the drawings all say there was first a goddess, a mother, creator, not a male, not a father, not a son. And the fact is that you don't know history. You don't go and buy the books. You don't go and study the Canaanites. You only use your Bible, and then you only use the reference material that, your pastor or your Bible college told you in which to go. Look, yeah, what do you think you're going to get? You're going to be realizing you've been eating chocolate ice cream the whole time thinking it was vanilla. And as we begin to look at through history and the conglomeration, the mashed up the way language has been, all still leads back to Asherah, Lilith. Now, I think if most Christians realized that they were celebrating Easter for what they would now consider a pagan goddess, probably wouldn't be having all of those services, would we? Again, godswifeasherah.com. Go check it out. There, folks. Now, this is probably one of the rarest depictions of the Elohim Jehovah Yahweh. One of the only ones that I have been able to find thus far. But here he is. It says Kebab. But this is Yahweh. Didn't think there was any depiction of him, did you? Yeah, surprise. There it is. Stare at this thing a while, and you can begin to see a technology, not a God. History, folks. History. They can't erase it. No matter what. They can't. It's a problem for them. It truly is. Told you this was going to be good. It's right there. I mean, people can say what you want. So let's go further. Plenty to be shared on this. Because, again, as you begin to do the research, and I've put all of these links for everyone to use, History's Vanquished Goddesses, the Asherah. You're going to find out that, well, here's a set of questions. Did God have a wife? Did ancient Israel worship a goddess? Was a goddess worshipped in the Jerusalem temple? Were goddesses worshipped across the Syro-Palestine? Are the shovels of archaeology resurrecting what the pens of history forgot? Simply one answer, yes. He did, they did, she was, and they were, and they are. The fact is, thousands of female figurines and artifacts discovered across the Syrian-Palestinian area attest to, one, goddess worship, two, also indicate that Asherah, the Canaanite Israeli goddess, was Yahweh's primary wife. Well, the hell out of the Old Testament, doesn't it? And why does the Christianity, Catholicism say you have to be a celibate priest? Why? It's control. Although a disturbing and blasphemous notion to some, the archaeological and historical evidence indicate the Asherah was actually but one of Yahweh's wives. Eventually, due to the rise of monotheism and its intolerance of a female presence, by the end of the 7th and 6th centuries BCE, bye-bye, baby, Asherah was the only major goddess surviving in Palestine. The book God, Goddesses, and Images of God in Ancient Israel. Although some may find goddess worship a foreign and uncomfortable notion, the archaeological and historical evidence indicate she was there from the beginning. In fact, a recent article in Bible Archaeological Review, April, Deconstructing, discusses the loss of the feminine component in religion. He writes, indeed, worship of the mother god in conjunction with the father god can be demonstrated to have occurred within ancient Israel. Both the Bible and the archaeological confirm this. Archaeology. So isn't it that the mother god was absent from their worship? Rather, she was consciously eradicated from worship by the religious authorities. Think about this, ladies and gentlemen, how this has altered Homo sapiens sapiens past. Look where it set us on the path to ruin. How much blood could be attributed because of this act? Elaborating further, Deconstructing states, the early Catholic Christians gradually repressed the female aspect of the Christian Godhead, and a bogus story developed that she was never there to begin with. It is this storyline that we are most familiar with and have bought into for the last 2,000 years. Here's his book. Buy it. It's worth it. You decide. I've left the link. We continue. The Asherah and Asherim of the Bible. The Asherah, along with the Ashtar and the Anith, was one of the 3 great goddesses of the Canaanite pantheon. In Canaanite religion, her primary role was that of mother goddess. In mythological texts from the late Bronze Age, roughly about 15 to 1200 BCE, the city-state of Ugarit, or she is called the creatress of the gods. Her consort at Ugarit, the god El is called creator. El is also referred to as father and patriarch at Ugarit. And as Yusroth, likewise, is called mother. Her children form the pantheon of the gods, who are said to number 70. A Hittite myth similarly mentions the 77 and 88 children of Asherah. On occasions, in Ugarit myth, Asherah performs the maternal role of wet nurse. And the Ugaritic and other Canaanite materials further associated the Asherah with lions, indicating power, serpents, representing immortality or healing, and sacred trees, signifying fertility. Thus, Asherah children at the Ugarit can be called her pride of lions. The goddess is called Lady of the Serpent. In 2nd millennial BCE, inscriptions from Sinai, the late 13th century BCE, Langish Aor, dedicated to Asherah, is decorated with the image of sacred trees. The very tree of life is, in fact, Mother Goddess. If you go to the Pantheon, if you go with the story. Yeah. Left the link. Ancient origins. Asherah, God's forgotten wife. Those raised in Judeo-Christian tradition may be surprised to learn that the God we were told was singularly sacred once had a wife. How do we know? Asherah figurines prominently as the wife of El, the supreme God, in a treasure trove of cuneiform texts found in the second millennium port city of Ugarit in northern Syria. For perhaps hundreds of years before Abraham migrated to what would become known as Israel, Asherah was revered as the Athroth, Earth Mother, and fertility goddess. Upon entering the region, the ancient Israelites soon adopted her and gave her the Hebrew equivalent name of Asherah. The Ugarit excavations of 1928 put Asherah, the goddess, on the map again, after having lost her place for thousands of years. Ladies and gentlemen, I contend that we are a part. Who knows if it's prophetic? I had someone write me today and say, this is probably what she's been waiting for. Here again, Seeker.com, God's wife, edited out of the Bible, almost. God had a wife, Asherah, whom the book of Kings suggests was worshipped alongside Yahweh in his temple in Israel, according to the scholar. It goes on to say in 1967, Raphael Petrea was the first historian to mention that the ancient Israelites worshiped both Yahweh and Asherah. The theory has gained new prominence due to the research of Francisca Barloa, who began her work at Oxford. And by the way, she's written books on this, and now a senior lecturer in the Department of Theology and Religion at the University of Exeter. Folks, they can only suppress it so long. This changes everything. I dare say it's probably the biggest threat to both Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. Lost and forgotten goddess Asherah, queen consort of the Sumerian god Anu and the Uric god El. Again, ancientpages.com, link below. Read the story. Failedmessiah.com, God's wife edited out of the Bible. Again, God had a wife, Asherah, from the book of Kings. Again, was worshipped alongside Yahweh. They're having a problem being able to determine. And here's one as we exit out, because we got some PDF documents. Now they're finding around 65,000 years ago, an advanced new culture surfaced in what is today Israel. Spectacular pottery, exquisite tools, and enigmatic work of arts appeared seemingly out of nowhere. The culture would flourish for about 600 years during the late Copper Age, then disappeared as inexplicably as it arose. Now archaeologists believe they have deduced its origins. Migrants from across the Middle East and Eurasia who were actually warmly welcomed by the local farmers. At least one of those outsider people seemed to have included blue-eyed, fair-skinned immigrants. Now you know where that comes from. In a region where it's primarily dark skin. So, this is history, not me. It's just history. So what do you do with it? Well, I don't know. It's up to you. No, I contend you can continue to believe the way you are, but I think you should be smart about it. Now, I have some PDFs that I have pulled up that y'all might like. Now, this is one. Let me see. Oh, yeah. This is Sex, the Unknown Quality. Here's the thing. It's odd how the sexuality of the feminine has been fought, man. I mean, when you go through these books, this was written in 1916, Sex, the Unknown Quality. Yeah, all I can say, read it. If you want a copy, just email me. You're going to learn some things. And as you begin to acquire more and more knowledge, it begins to make sense. It really does. It's not near as confusing as one would think. All right. This one is the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. It's a long one. I haven't even really begun to get into this too much, but that which I have read already has blown me away. Ladies, you really should have this book. You really should read it. I would say guys as well, but I think she has done probably the best work of beginning to elevate the divine feminine again. Not subjugating the male. Again, people get that mixed up because we're so contaminated in our thought processes. But again, watch the Baal series. This is a phenomenal book. It's over 1,100 pages. This one, The Council of Yahweh, Its Structure and Membership, by Mary Ellen White, Doctor of Philosophy and Theology, the University of St. Michael's College. This was her dissertation paper. Wonderful, wonderful piece of work. Brings it again into context. Why was the creator, the creatress, mother goddess, supplanted by this patriarchal, monotheistic, male construct? Throw the New Testament out. Hell, throw out the Old Testament if you want it. You can see why it's a book of spells. I'm serious. Anyway, great paper. This is the Old Testament Life and Lecture by Gerald A. Laurie. This is another good study. You're going to find out how all this legend, myth, damn right, just absolutely forging documents, altering documents that you call today the Holy Bible, how this came about. This one is a great one. The politics of sexuality in the story of King David. Because David, if you read his works, him and Solomon, whoo, those two were some horny individuals. I mean, anyway, this is a dissertation by Aaron E. Fleming, submitted to Johns Hopkins University in conformity with the requirements of a degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Again, these are great reads. You'll learn something. This one I like, Windows to the Polemics Against the So-Called Jews and the Jezebel in Revelation, Insights from Historical and Contextual Analysis by Seng-Yun Leong, Doctor of Philosophy, School of Divinity, University of Edinburgh. Again, folks, these are excellent papers. You will become a master. You read these documents, take the time, and you're going to learn. He gets right into this. I love this thing when he comes right into this whole thing about the satanic trio and their cult to the Flavian dynasty. I've been trying to tell you people, I got out of it, folks. I was a Christian one time. You're worshiping a philosophy of a certain few. So, there you go. Give me 1 second here. It's there. What do we do with it? Well, I think we continue. We do not give up. This is how I look at this. And I hope the message begins to spread. We are sapiens sapiens. Whoever messed with us, whoever contaminated us, whoever altered us, whoever lied and deceived to us, we've got to face the reality we have been lied to. We've got to stop killing ourselves over this. We've got to stop killing one another over this. We've got to stop the arguments. We've got to stop the hatred. Because we emulate exactly that which this deity, Yahweh, and I'm just going to say it, how do you get the Christ message out of the Yahweh? Don't tell me it was just some cat come down and reincarnated. I'm not buying that either. If we've been lied to from the beginning, how can we be so certain that the ending hasn't been lied to us as well? And at some point in time, we got to stop playing house. We're tearing our place. I mean, look at us worldwide. We are a species in crisis. Now, no matter how much you want to say that this is not politically correct, that this is too harsh, the content is too intense for some people, fine. That's just the ostrich syndrome. Your ass is showing up through the air. Actually, technically, that's where your head is at. I've said this many times. We're not getting any better in this. And then you've got the other extreme that take these goddesses and then completely elevate them. Listen, I can't find where Lilith, any Asherah, ever made any demands of wanting to be elevated, to be worshiped. I don't get that at all. A mother does not want to be worshiped by her children. She wants to be loved, respected, honored, appreciative. Devoted, yes. Worship, no. That's the problem. We have to stop worshiping these mental images that don't exist. Now, if Yahweh existed, he was an Elohim. This brings it into context then. Does this say now that there are stronger female Elohims? And if they are, why are they not present? Where are the female Elohims? Where is their representation on the council? If Asherah, Lilith, whatever her name may be, if she is married to the Supreme that is referenced in Psalms 84, then where are her party? Something's balanced here, folks. That's cool, Sierra. So, yeah, lots of material we covered here today, and it's in a short period of time. You can only cover so much, but it's there. I will not stop my research, because as we continue to peel this back, we're going to find who the guilty party is. And maybe somewhere, those who have not been, how shall we say, absorbed by the elite, those in business, those in politics, in the other disciplines will begin to make, number one, the acknowledgement, but be honest enough with themselves and all other sapiens that we've been lied to. This is not working. These religions, no matter what they promise, they always fail to deliver. They're divided. I told you yesterday, what did Jesus say? I didn't come here to bring peace. I came to bring division. Son against father, daughter against mother, division by the sword. I don't want that. I keep saying we've killed enough of us. How much more of our blood are we going to spill? But yet we'll debate each other and we'll tell everyone you're wrong. No. We're just all trying to figure it out. All right, folks. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'll share what I have. You do with it. I give it out free, use it, grow with it, and start looking within. You know why I don't have a problem with Lucifer or demons or evil spirits? You know why? They respect me. I got nothing. I don't want to invoke them. They can coexist and exist wherever. I don't have a problem with that. And therefore, I'm not bothered by them. Think about it. How did the spirit realm see you? Are you colored by your religion, your philosophy, your theology, your ideology? Think about it. All right, folks, tonight, another mind-blowing session with Dr. Albers, the physicist and philosopher. Be here tomorrow with Patrick on Talking with the Planets. Got lots of questions. Send in your questions. I'll be compiling all the ones that have been sent in thus far this week. Wednesday, I have Rachel coming in from Bulgaria. I think this is going to be exciting. Happened to watch a special on the Black Sea. And so I'm excited about asking her in her region. The Black Sea is, folks, we're finding the expeditions that are there. History, we're having to rewrite it. So I think that's going to be exciting. I'm looking forward to Rachel. She's a very sweet woman. And I think she has a great perspective and a story. All right, folks, just invoking favor upon you this day. May favor follow you. May favor be your constant companion. And may full restoration be upon you. Nothing missing, nothing broken. I know I usually say it in the beginning, but we just had a full day here. All right, folks, appreciate you. You're the best. Thank you for enriching my life. I hope I've done the same. All right, folks, I will see you later. Be good to yourself. Bye-bye.